Okay, we're live. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm so excited to have Sherri Divban and Solreta Anteria with me today. How are you guys?
Good.
Yeah,
I'm so happy to be here.
me too. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited about this. I got so much positive feedback about having, everybody together and stuff. And I'm excited to have the conversation with you guys because when I think about people that I know that are in the community that try to always come from a heart space and everything, you guys came to mind immediately. So I'm really excited to have this conversation with you guys and just kind of see what comes up.
Well, thank you for thinking of us. And it's just so nice to be here with you girls. It's earlier over here. It's 9 a.m. So I'm still waking up a little, but I was excited to wake up to get to see you girls and lovely soul family that I can see in the audience too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi to
Hey.
everybody watching, regardless of what time it is where you are. It's 7 p.m. where I am. So it's kind of the opposite end of
Yeah.
where you are. But it's nice to have people come on and support. And I think this is a great idea. And I'd love to give credit to Lisa because she had this beautiful idea that the three of us come on and just be uplifting because there is a plethora of negative content out there and a lot of fear mongering and things like that. So people have enough. They're bombarded with all of the bad stuff. And that's my thing is I like to have a positive mindset. I like to be solution oriented. I like to think of the positives or the macro view. There's always other ways to look at things. That's how I've always been. And I believe that you two ladies have shown that as well. So I think it's a great way for the three of us to come together in this space. And we'd like to do this as often as we can to help uplift people. Like that's the purpose of this is let's talk, let's help lift each other up. And that's why we are here today with you all this evening, this morning, depending on what time it is for you.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I'm really excited about it because, I'm thinking about even for myself, everything's kind of ebbing and flowing, and we're watching all of these things happen. Anybody that follows me knows that my mom's going through some health things, and there's a few things like that happening in my family, and it gets hard. There's a lot of times where the heaviness of it, and you just kind of feel exhausted, and then of course you try to stay away from the news, but you really can't to an extent if you're on social media at all. And even though you're not having an intention to let these things in, sometimes it can lay heavy on you and you just get tired, right? So I think to remember that we're all kind of going through that and where we are in the world and in this space right now. The reality is that we're watching a lot of things unfold. Things are changing, not just for ourselves personally, but and the people around us, but the world, right? I mean, it's really in our face how much things are happening, and we knew that there was a lot of things that we knew that stuff was going to fall away so that new things could come in, and it was going to be for our benefit. But to say that and then to have to actually live that, it's very different. What do you think, Sol?
Well, I think it's definitely more intense where you girls are in the States at the moment. Kind of feels nice to be so far away from a bit of the heat at the moment because it's usually takes me about 24 hours to get to the States. I think to Hawaii is like 16 hours, but to get
Yeah.
to, closer to where you are, Lisa, it's quite a long flight. So, for me, it's just trying to stay neutral. And, I see a lot of stuff happening on social media because I don't watch the news. And it's just trying to not get pulled into it. And, even I think it was back in January, I had a dream that's related to what is currently happening. Although in the dream, it was something that I'd never seen happen before, the type of, I won't get into it too much, but I hadn't seen that sort of technology used before. Like in the dream. But I guess the guidance that I've seen in my sessions lately, it's so nice and light. It's to do with the positive side of the change that's happening on a spiritual level. And I always talk about, things happen first in the quantum and then they permeate down into our 3D. So I do see really positive things as far as like the shift still. Just the other day, and I was telling Lisa and some of the group from our new moon event, I'll just grab this huge crystal. We were talking about this crystal that I have on my desk. Wait, just grab it. It's huge.
Wow.
We call it the baby because it literally is like you're holding a baby,
Oh my
although
gosh. I'm
he's
in
much
love with
heavier.
you.
So just paying attention as much as we can and coming into a subtleness and sensitivity. So with this guy, it's like two seconds before I was running into a session with a client, and I just hear this little voice say, "Hey, you don't spend time with me. You need to meditate and connect. I want to help work with you." And so for the 2 seconds I had before, I just closed my eyes, touched onto the crystal, and asked for its name. And I heard Al Salador. And, with hardly any time to get in, I'm like, okay, I'm going to just pop it into Google and see what pops up. Hey, Johnny. And what I saw was Thalador being very similar to Theodore. And so this crystal, when you translate it, it's the gift from God is the name of the crystal. And so just a little bit of magic, it just made such a difference to that day. And I forgot to tell you too, Lisa, uh, my partner actually rang me that same morning and he said the weirdest thing happened. He was just getting gas and this lovely old man just said, "Your wife's going to have the most amazing day." And
Oh,
I'm like,
Wow.
how did he even know that you had a partner and things? And he's like, "I don't know." And I'm like, okay. And it was a magic day. That whole day with clients, there was guides standing around. This is like one example of a gorgeous client from that day. And we could see these beings that had almost like a flame-like head. They were golden nature spirits, about 1 to 2 feet tall, just really super amazing. But all of the names that I was getting come through with guides and clients that were working with them that day, we just kept popping them into Google. And they kept coming up with translations that were centered around love, centered around divinity, centered around light and universal, like infinite space and potential and things. It was a little bit of joy and magic, or I should say, like a whole day jam-packed full. So I just want people to know there's positive things that are happening at the same time. And it's all about trying to maintain that frequency and not get pulled into other things. But yeah, I just feel like crystals are really reaching out to try and get us to hold the grid, especially at the moment with all of this stuff going on. I'm just going to put this baby down.
That is a beautiful crystal. I love it. I could feel the energy of that crystal through all the way over here, however many miles that is. That's a lot of miles. Sorry, my phone is going off. So what I'd like to add to that, which was beautiful, I think, is sometimes we are having a human experience. So regardless of where we come from or what vibration we are at or our density of consciousness, I mean, all of us are still in the thick of it together. And sometimes I think people come to me for sessions and they have this assumption that I have this perfect life and I've got it all figured out. And I'm like, listen, man, I'm a mess. Like I was just telling you ladies right before I came onto this live, I'm rushing around trying to order my kids pizza. No one fed the dogs. And and it's like nothing gets done unless I'm taking charge. And I didn't even know where my husband was in the moment. So it's like, we're all trying to figure it out. We're all trying to figure out how to pay the bills. We're all trying to figure out how to keep things clean and make sure our cars are running and ground and take the time for self-care. And it's a lot and we're all feeling it. And I think that we're allowed to have those human emotions and human experiences. But how I believe and my take on a lot of this is our perception is everything. So our mind can be controlled in so many different ways and we can be skewed on how we react to especially a lot of things that are out of control, our control right now, especially politically, what's going on and things like that. And there's a lot of supercharged energy that I'm seeing with a lot of people. And, my recommendation to them and to anyone watching this is exactly what Solreta said, which is my favorite phrase, just stay neutral. And there's a lot of people out there saying, you got to choose sides. Like you have to choose sides. Yes, you should choose sides between light and dark. I think that's pretty apparent at this point. But what they're trying to do is have us choose sides through division, with trickery and illusion. So, what country, what president, what this, what that. And that's the part, which party, even in the spiritual community, there's a lot of fighting going on. And so there's this chaos caused by division, and it's amplifying the fears within everybody. So I really feel like our perception is key. How are we navigating through this? And that's kind of what we want to talk about today, is how can we keep your perception in a way that's more neutral, more macro view, because I think it helps a lot.
Yeah, and also just to talk about, it's like I said, with things were going on in my family with, people having health issues and stuff like that. It's like, how do you recognize, when you're out of alignment? For me, sometimes when it seems like in my 3D life, this thing's coming in and then this thing's coming in, and then from over here I've got this one, and then one of my grown children calls me with something else, and all these things come in. I'm taking this in and taking it on and trying to fix like I always do. And then I recognize I am completely out of alignment personally myself, and to pull myself back and to just recognize. So, what can we do to not allow ourselves to get pulled off track to that degree?
Yeah, I've got a little chart, and we were using this in the new moon the other day. Let me just pop this up. I forgot I had this on my desk still. So just like a simple little reminder, things like this, like shifting your attention. So a lot of other philosophies, talk about the vibration of frequency. So if we look at, say, for example, we've got fear and love. So we look at like fear being a very low vibration, and I'm not sure of the exact hertz, but we look at love being that higher vibration. So I've got this as a little prompt for, whenever we're feeling sort of in the lower end of things, whether it's like lack, we need to pop into gratitude. So if we're feeling in this space of despair, or if we're looking at it to do with the current circumstances of the world, and it's, a lot of like fear energy, that means that we need to focus and meditate and connect more in love, or, tap into the grateful things that we have. So it would be, for me, living in Melbourne, Australia, we have one of the most multicultural cities in the world. And what I love about that is, so many languages and so many different foods. Like we're kind of one of the food capitals of the world down here in Melbourne, especially for coffee. But yeah, it's, having gratitude for the multicultural place that I get to live into, and, all of the different customs and the different costumes, or the different like dress styles that all the different nationalities have. And then the other one I've got is this little one. So steps to shifting frequency. And it's really just like a little prompt reminder. So we've got at the top, we program while you sleep. So one thing we can do is listen to like 8-hour subconscious reprogramming sleep tapes, so that we're getting that different recording into that subconscious mind and shifting from whatever it is that keeps us fixed and stuck. And then the next one would be, so breath work and meditation. So that's further going to help shift things. We've got mind movies and gratitude. That's a really great one to keep capturing your attention and focus. And we see that hijacked all the time with social media. So why not make like your own little dopamine hit and get your reel of photos together that lift you up and expand and excite you? And I've used that several times for manifestation. And then the last one that I've got is hypnosis, which we have an amazing hypnosis therapist on here, Jake Ray Hypnosis, you'll see in the chat, one of my favorite hypnotherapists. So yeah, all of these are just like little reminders to help us, because a lot of people are stuck at the moment. And I know we were talking backstage, and, Sherri was saying about like, clients in this space of just, frustration. And I think we need to take that power back, and we need to go, right, okay, I'm feeling frustrated. What are the steps that I can do? And if you guys missed the chart, hopefully you can go back and screenshot this. I have popped it up on Instagram and Facebook before, and it's just such a good little reminder to have around, that we actually do get to make choices and decisions. Because I think that's the despair part of what a lot of people are feeling, is that they don't have a choice in things, but we have a choice in what we listen to and where we draw our attention.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you. And it's true. It really just, having the toolkit that you need to kind of get through some of those things that, are feeling stressed like that. Those are really good ideas. And even having, like, you guys, there's so many times where, you and I will be leaving messages back and forth to each other, or Sherri and I will be talking. Sherri was like coaching me through stuff, a few days ago. So it's nice to have the people in your life too, that you can kind of just, talk to, and they can help to just redirect you just a little bit, get you back on your path, and help you to think, in a way that you feel like, okay, I'm okay, I got this.
Yeah. And I think it was good what you mentioned before, all of us having families, we've all got children, and it just, life happens. Sometimes we need to, order the pizza and, do the things. We did pizza the other night too, because we had school play and, all of the stuff. It just doesn't stop happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting adaptable is really handy.
Yeah. People keep bringing up my cat video. I have so I've created a bunch of more videos because so you guys know I talk way too much and too long in my videos. I don't know how to make things simplified. So I'm trying my best to create videos that are like 4 minutes or less. And so I just posted one on TV portals and cats and how they protect us. And I have like 3 more that I'm going to release. And I just want to talk about the spiritual maturity and perception of some people that still make me laugh. I had somebody say that because in the video I put a depiction of a portal to explain, there's to have a visual. And someone said that I should have given consent ahead of time to let people know there was a portal in the video that I created. And I had to think about it for a second. And I'm laughing, and I'm not laughing at the person. I'm laughing at the situation of the perception that people have, that they think that like the power is within your mind. So like if you're watching a video of any spiral and you're going to think in your mind that that's a portal that's activated, then you are activating that portal. So it just goes to show the depths of the perception and consciousness that how people are tapping in right now. And I think that that's very interesting. And I do want to warn people on the AI influence right now. Because we are experiencing some artificial intelligence aspect of this spiritual war. And so we have to be cognizant of it. It's not always positive conversations. Sometimes we have to bring up some of the negative stuff, which are the portals that the cats are protecting us from, or the chat engines and search engines. And this AI it is building upon the information we are feeding it. We don't realize that we are giving this AI information, and it's learning every aspect of our human behavior, how we act, our fears, our desires, and everything in between. And so it is important to be aware, because knowledge is power, but it's really all about how you respond to it. So in that video, it was to show, look how amazing cats are, that they are these astral beings that can protect us. But we also have the power. So we have the power with intention to say, I do not consent to any activated portals in my home, or anything and everything that is not serving my highest good. I do not consent. And you just get into the habit of doing these things. And there are so many ways that we can empower ourselves. But it is lovely to have the animals in our life to kind of, catch us where we're missing things, or that we're not really sure paying attention to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right, and it's a good point that you made too about, it's part of being sovereign too, right? And you choose how things are going to come into your field, and whether or not you're going to participate in whatever it is that you think you can participate with. If a picture of a portal, to you is an immediate activation, and that's your belief system, in that. That's going to be different than if I'm looking at it and I'm like looking at it going, wow, look at the graphics on that. It's really cool. You know what I mean? So there's going to be differences in the way that people are going to take in the information and look at it. But ultimately, it's, to always recognize that you're a sovereign person who has the ability to interact with what you choose to, and not interact with what you don't choose to. It's a decision that you make, like anything else. So just because something is there, it doesn't mean that, it has to affect you. Just because someone in my family is going through something, I don't have to take that energy on and allow it to be my energy too, or in my field. You can love people and hold space for them in that way without it becoming part of what's going on for you. And I think that portal is an example of that as well. Does that make sense to you guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what you just said too about, people going through things and not taking it on. I think that's such an important lesson for now, especially for, our community. There's a lot of empaths. I'm very empathic, and it's very easy to just absorb or take things on, or, for us to look at it, whether it's from, childhood, to look at things from how are things happening in the world around us? Because sometimes we might think it's our job to fix or to repair, but what does it look like if we stand back and we let people have, whether it's, their spiral moments, or we let people sort things out or come to different awarenesses and conclusions for themselves? Because we saw that with the whole wake up period over the last couple of years too, that a lot of people were actively trying to wake people up. And, I give the example, one of my older friends, she is a really staunch vegan. And she would usually try and persuade people to become vegan by shouting it and ramming it down their throats quite aggressively. And it would turn them off, and they'd be like, you know what, just for that, I'm going to eat an extra burger tonight. And so I think we need to be aware of sometimes that we have to sort of stand still in this presence and hold that light and stand in. I think, Lisa, you might have mentioned the word authenticity before we started, which is meant to be even more high vibrational than the emotion of love. It's meant to have a higher hertz frequency to it. And I think if we are standing in our own light and our own truth at the moment, it's trying to not let us become unspiraled or undone when other things come in to rock us off center. And it makes me think of Seven of Swords energy in the tarot too. It's like, hold the line, hold the frequency, even if like the other swords coming in nearly poking us in the eye. It's almost like a practice, I feel, at the moment, what we're going through, because it is a spiritual war on a different level too.
Yeah, I agree. What are your thoughts, Sherri?
I was just going to say, there's a lot of activation going on with our DNA, and a lot of change. And I keep saying that a lot of us are bridges. We're kind of the bridge in between the old and the new world. And it's a really difficult place, because think about a bridge and all the weight it holds, all the cars that drive over it, all the people that walk over it. It's a lot to be a bridge, to hold the space for this transition. And so some of our bodies are having a really difficult time keeping up and holding the space and the frequency. So our bodies are feeling really fatigued and tired, and that can really activate the autonomic nervous system. And then now we have this anxiety and this depression, and those that are empaths are feeling the energy of everybody that crosses over that bridge, everybody that comes into your life, whether it's a client or family member or a friend or a neighbor, and they cross over your bridge or your metaphorical space, and you're an empath. You can inadvertently absorb that, or at least feel what they're feeling. So a lot of what I'm seeing with my clients right now is they're almost reaching a breaking point of, I can't take this anymore. I don't think I can physically hold any more energy, any more baggage, any more despair, because that is what unfortunately is flowing through the collective right now as a result of a lot of things that are happening that aren't also necessary. So again, it goes back to your mindset and what it is that you're carrying and holding on to, and what you are releasing mindfully. And so I'm trying to coach people to, instead of hanging on and holding and taking the burden of everyone else's traumas or trying to wake people up. I actually had a session today where a woman was worried about her son, and he seems to be very aggressively triggered by certain things, especially with regard to AI. And so what I was shown in this session was that this man is not ready to be, quote unquote, metaphorically unplugged from the matrix just yet. And if people are in general prematurely pulled out when they are not ready, when they are not organically ready, then they can actually have a psychotic episode. And we are actually seeing that. How many people out there are actually losing it? And that you can see, not even through the news. I mean, I can go down the street and I can see people on the streets like seemingly losing their mind, losing their grasp of reality. They're having these psychotic breaks because they can't understand what's happening. So there is so much going on. And I think for the empaths out there and the sensitive ones to really just try to hold the space, but not hold it within your body. And so there are a lot of ways we can let it go. There's a lot of ways through breath work, through going outside in nature. I'm seeing a lot of diva spirits. I don't know about you ladies, but
Yeah,
I've been working a lot with fairies. but I'm seeing more diva spirits, just interdimensional orbs and lights and energies connected to the trees and the plants. And they are,
Yeah.
I mean, there's an explosion of them right now trying to help. And I think they're here to ground and help heal the planet right now. So they're trying to combat those feelings of despair. And so there's a lot going on right now. And it's just about maintaining your ability to just stay neutral and calm. And however that works for you is going to be different for everybody.
Yeah, I was having a meditation before I was going to do a show, and I ended up doing like 4 pages of automatic writing, which isn't super. It's new to me. But one of the things that they said that I thought was really interesting was one of the at the very beginning. It said, "What system are you operating from within, and how do you know peace? Find comfort. Find comfort from each other." Find comfort from within. Love does not bind nor alter minds and perceptions. It expands what's possible. It perceives what's available. Can you build on love? And they went on to talk about love in other facets and how it's a normal emotion. Because at one point I was thinking about my mom when they were talking about it, and they were saying, you're a human having a, a human experience, and there's an array of emotions that are available to you. And so you're going to feel grief, and that's okay. And then you're going to feel anger, and that's okay. But then you have to come back to love. And you always come from a place of love. And when you do that, it's not limiting your human experience. It's expanding what it means to be human, is to be in that love. And I thought it was beautiful. And I kind of walked away from that channeling, and I was just like, wow, okay, it's so simple, and we can get caught up in all of these other things when we're talking about some of the stuff that's out there that we're looking at, and it gets frustrating, and just feel exhausted with all of it. And really, the thing is just to so simply stay in your heart space and to come from that place. And there are energies and frequencies and beings and consciousness and source consciousness all around you to help you to be in that flow, if you can recognize that it's there.
Yeah, I think that's well said. And with that, I think it's also needing to have self-love being first. It's that oxygen mask first, because it's so easy, and you see it all the time with people that are, involved with other people that might be more on the self-serving side of things, or running other programs. And I just want to say also what Sherri was saying, with some of like the people going through psychotic breaks and things, it's really important to, with us not getting pulled into that, but to also know different tools and techniques. So I think you were mentioning before too about checking and making sure things are that you're sovereign and that you're connected to things for your best and highest good. And I think that's important to remember, that we can remove ourselves from things if we can't physically. Then we can still be saying, whether it's prayers or affirmations or things that help us to stay in that sovereignty or in that center. And I know Jerry Mazinski, who does a lot to do with the Mace Energy Method and to do with, from the psychiatry side of things, or I might not be saying his title properly, but he's worked in psychiatric wards and worked with thousands of people. And he says when there's demonic possession or psychosis and things going on, I think it's 91 and 23 are the different psalms that he said that kind of irritate the darker side of things and irritate the demonic side of things. So I think if we can just gather more tools in our toolkit at this time to help get us through this next length of the journey, I think that sort of thing is also really useful.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think, Sherri?
Yeah, so I wanted to bring up kind of the two main things that I think are helpful for today, for people that are easy to do. And number one, I feel like the dark, you guys know I call it the dark players, and that includes AI intelligence and all sorts of layers of control mechanisms in this reality to suppress us. And I think that one of the biggest things they're trying to do right now, because I do believe that they are on the last leg of the last of their attempts, right? That's why things are escalating right now. And one method of doing that is through hijacking our consciousness. So distraction division, distraction division, distraction division. I mean, I'm seeing it everywhere I go. I don't watch the news anymore, but I can't turn on social media anywhere without seeing some sort of a conflict going on. And so it's big right now. So what has been coming through suggestion wise through my sessions a lot lately is treating your mind like a sacred vessel. And what are you doing how are you spending your time and energy? Now, I know that a lot of people work and there's a lot of things that we're doing that we cannot avoid. But the time that we have outside of that, what are we doing to keep our minds sharp? And I don't mean Sudoku and things like that. I'm talking about like, how are you spending your time and building and expanding your consciousness? And that doesn't always necessarily mean reading literature. I mean, it could be anything. And a couple times I've been getting the advice of go back to simplicity, jigsaw puzzles. Sit out on a table, bring one of those big jigsaw pieces of puzzles out, and like sit together. And so it's like it's occupying your mind so you can't get hijacked. So less TV, less electronics, more going outside, more being with your animals. And unfortunately, you know, the three of us are lucky. We just talked earlier about how we have families. Not everybody's that lucky. And I happen to have a good number of clientele that have no family, no friends. They are literally all alone. And they're saying, Sherri, I'm going crazy by myself out here. I'm holding on by a thread. I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know what to do with my time. And the beautiful thing that I'm seeing with those people is that I'm telling them they're holding the space energetically, like they are preserving their energy. And it looks like their soul has chosen to be in solitude for a lot of reasons. And there's more to it, but I don't want to monopolize the time. So it's really about what are you doing to occupy your mind? What are you thinking about is number one. And number two, actually, to take it on a curveball for a second, you know what came through a couple of times in sessions, and I'm curious what you guys think about it before I keep going. Wind chimes keep coming up. And so this is why. I was told recently that we always are saying, raise your vibration, raise your vibration. I'm that person also. I've been saying it on stage and in books for like a decade. Oh, raise your vibration. Well, there's technology out there right now that has advanced to a point where now it can reach higher frequencies. So those people that are doing the work and putting the time in and raising their vibration in different ways, there are frequencies that target technology that targets higher frequencies now. So even the people that are doing the spiritual work are hearing detrimental, horrible things through voice to skull technology. So I was guided in many sessions to tell people to create your own channel and create your own unique frequency that's continuously oscillating and shifting and changing so that you become invisible, so that you will not be found by this technology. And your frequency is so unique that it is impenetrable. And so through the sessions, a couple of times, wind chimes kept coming up. And I was told that people should have wind chimes because the noise of the wind chimes around them is somehow distorting and disrupting negative frequencies that are being sent to us. And it's helping a lot of people. So I'm just curious, one, if you two ladies have heard that before, if anyone in the chat has been like thinking about wind chimes, because apparently they work and they help a lot.
Well, it's funny that you say that. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's okay. You go.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I ordered some wind chimes and they came, they were much bigger than I thought that they were going to be. They're literally like, I don't know, they're big. And they were out on the patio, and we like to go kind of sit out there when it's not too hot. And I noticed that there's like trees and bushes and stuff that are around, and then the wind chimes move and it shifts the energy completely for me. And so from a personal perspective, not that anybody had come to me and said it, but I was definitely feeling it. And then a neighbor, like 2 houses down, has these little wispy ones that kind of move a lot more easily than my big heavy ones do. And so when I'm walking with the dogs up and down that, and I hear those little things, it reminds me of fairies because of the way that it sounds. And I get that kind of energy, you know, with the trees and them going. So on a personal note, definitely. What about you, Sol?
Yeah. So even at the school play the other night, there was little wind chimes playing, and it just, for a moment, I was just so drawn to the sound of these cute little wind chimes, and it definitely, for me, connects me to the fairy realms. And I used to have wind chimes up, and I think when we moved house last time, I don't think I put them back up, or they're like further down the back. I'll have to look, but they're not. I'm not hearing the sound lately. But I know in Tartarian times they say that a lot of the bells that they had up that have been destroyed, that they were healing, and that they also help prevent hurricanes and things of that sort of nature. And I know when things were happening in Florida, they were saying about, ringing bells and other things. So I think we're having a re-remembering of the ancient technology and the things that we used to use in the past. And I know for me, being a kinesiologist as well, one of the tools that we have, and I've just got my little baby set here, but tuning forks. So
Mm.
we use these to balance chakras and meridians. We also use them to, whether it's amplifying acupuncture points or to even just shift energy. So I remember in college when we were talking about just listening into the sound of the chakras. So generally you'll strike them and you'll hear the frequency get finer, the higher that the vibration is. So say like if we've got them and they're making a real clanging noise, we maybe need to work on those energy centers. So even looking into how we can work with frequency on an individual basis. And it's interesting. I usually find the chakras that I use the most, like the upper chakras, tend to run finer. But for me, it's the lower chakras that make a little bit more of a clanging sound or a little bit more of a density. So for me, I have to focus more on grounding. I have to do things to come into the physical, which luckily I have a partner that's a triple Taurus. So he's fully like physical, fully immersed in the physical plane. So we balance each other out, sort of like meeting between heaven and earth somewhere. So, also just as you were saying before too, relying on being able to communicate with friends and helping each other balance and uplift. I think that's super important. And I've got a few clients that are in a similar situation to what Sherri was saying, where, they are cut off from the world in that way. And it's also, I hadn't thought about it from the point of view that you were saying, that it's also energetically them holding that space or holding that ground right now. And I think that's a really interesting point because, we are little batteries, we are electrical in nature, and we do have our own, if we think about it being like Wi-Fi, we have our own heart signal, our own heart electromagnetic field that reaches about 6 feet. And, the same with our brain, it doesn't reach as far as the heart. But I think if we can think about our little power source that our bodies are emitting and waving, and if we can hold that frequency and not have to worry, like going to the shops and things of that sort of nature. I know a lot of people think, oh, I need to bundle up if I'm going into the shops energetically. But what if you're going to spread that light and your heart's having coherence as you're walking through the store and you're spreading, these waves and activating people too. So I think sometimes we need to close down though. It's just knowing, what do you need for that day? And energetically, if anything's come home with you, making sure that you're leaving it outside your property and just getting energetically sensitive and aware, I think can really help us in this last little leg of the, I don't want to say the B word, this last little leg of the journey that we're going through.
Yeah. I love how the comments in the chat are making me laugh, because a lot of people I think someone said that their neighbor hates the wind chimes, and it's probably because of the entities and stuff. And it's absolutely true. People that have an aversion to nature sounds and the wind chimes, I think it is because it's the entities around them that are like, because it's like, like static in their energy field that's disrupting to them. And so that's it's funny, but it's true. I mean, it really is. And someone also mentioned, of course, the answers to the universe are always going to be cheap. Nothing is expensive. We have every tool in nature that has ever been meant to us. Now, are there other things that can enhance? Of course, but really, we have the power. We have the ability, and I think our biggest superpower, personally, is our intention. Yep. Intention to me is everything, and I teach it so much that it's the first paramount thing I teach to children. It's fundamental. I say your intention is the most powerful thing you have, and then we build upon that. But of course, wind chimes are not expensive. I mean, they can be, of course, but a lot of these things are very available, and you can even make them yourself, and they should be, because things that are for our benefit are already available to us. The things that really are not are the things that are expensive that they want us to splurge on, and it's actually to our detriment.
That's so true. That's a really good point. And it's funny because when you're around bells or chimes and stuff, the tonality of them is at such a precision that you can hear it, and you can almost visualize it clearing space, it clearing the field from distortion and those kind of things. That frequency wouldn't be able to live in that, would it? If it was like a distortive type of an energy, it would, because that ping, that chime, that's like such a, it's almost like a point. You can feel it like a point of light, and it just spreads and moves. And I don't know, I'm very visual, so I see things in that way, but I can almost see like a pin of light, and it's spreading and kind of
Mm.
going out, and it would clear the distortion right out. So it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And I wonder what the original intention was for people hanging up wind chimes at their home. Whether it was just, it sounds pretty, or just to have it in the wind, or whether there was actually a protection element.
I
If
think it
there's,
was protection element, to
yeah,
be honest with you. Like,
I
that's
think
the
so
feeling
too.
that I get, and then the protection probably led to healing frequencies. But
Yeah.
that's kind of how I think about it.
And I wonder if there's any, like, my brain just or automatically wants to get online and go into other 432 hertz tuned wind chimes. And I think I'm going to go down that rabbit hole later today and have a look. Hey, Allison.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because there are these things, like she said, they're not expensive. This is like a
Yeah.
really easy fix to do, and then you go back to AI and you're talking about the distortion and stuff that can be in your field, that can be in your home. What an easy fix! What an easy way
Yeah.
to counter some of that, right?
Yeah, and to go back to the TV portals, I can't tell you how many people freaked out about it. And I'm like, listen, do not freak out about the TV portals, nor do you need to freak out about the mirrors in your home. If you choose to have mirrors in your home and you choose to have TVs, or it's not even just TVs, it's anything black box, so a phone, a computer monitor, it could be anything that has technology, Google Home, are your little people who wear watches, the smart watches, but anything black box technology has the potential to be detrimental. But we have the power, just simply with nothing else, no crystals, no extra frequencies, no bells and whistles, no pun intended, are necessary. I truly believe it is our intention. And we can say, you know, I do not consent. And see, I'm in a tricky situation because I don't watch scary movies. And if I could control it, I would not allow scary movies in my home. I don't believe in them. I don't like them. And I do believe they've opened portals. And I believe that since over a decade ago, before people started talking about it. But unfortunately, I have children, and they think it's cool to watch them. So I've taught my children to start saying that I can hear my daughter yelling upstairs to me because she's about to watch some sort of new scary movies, and she has friends over, and she's like, I do not consent. And
Aw,
I mean, she is joking a little bit, but I know she's serious about it. She's just
yeah.
making sure I hear it. And I'm like, okay, you know what? As long as I'm teaching her to assert her dominance and her intention, I believe that that's the most powerful thing. So our intention can block just about anything: TV portals, mirror portals, and a lot of technology. It has to do with our sovereignty, which is what this conversation is about. Do you feel sovereign? Do you feel like you deserve? Do you feel love for yourself? Do you feel like you deserve love? Do you attract love? All of it comes back to how you feel about yourself and your capabilities and your and how you feel. You are able to navigate through a lot of this stuff. And unfortunately, a lot of people have had lifetimes where they have been told otherwise, or they have been killed or ostracized or kicked out of communities and civilization for just that thing. So we are rebuilding and healing collectively our voice and our heart and our knowing. And we have to give people time and space to do that. And my biggest thing is, it's your intention. I'm telling you, that's your superpower. Believe it. Believe in yourself, and it will work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go ahead, Sol.
Oh no, just intention is everything. It really is. And I was the same with scary movies and still am. Even when my kids start to tell me about different things, I'm like, nah, I don't want to know. I'm like,
Yeah.
I feel it. Yeah. And so they just think I'm a big scaredy cat, but it's like, no, you actually are calling it in. And with my kids growing up in the Steiner school systems, I think you guys call it the Waldorf school. Rudolf Steiner was really aware of these things that come in from other worlds. And my favorite book of his is How to Know the Higher Worlds. And he talks about, even with the thing that happened those couple of years ago and still continuing to happen, he talked about that would be something created to separate us from our soul. And I think, that's connected with our sovereignty and our sovereignty. It's really important to look at intention around that. And this has been something that's come up for me over the last 2 weeks. It's like when something arises or something's not manifest to the level that we would like it to be manifest, we could so easily get into how do I fix that on a physical level? And you go on this weird, like Wild West journey adventure to try and fix it in the 3D physical. And Spirit really has been just bringing me back. Well, how would you like it? Just, keep holding
Oh
that
my
intention.
gosh.
How would you
Yeah.
like it? And things are shifting. And it's the weirdest of weird connections and just like strange synchronicities that are actually linking into the outcome that I want to have. So I think with the intention and with let's just bring it back. How would you like it then? So just
Oh my
imagine
gosh.
that,
That,
God or the universe or your higher self whispering, how would you like it then? Every
yeah.
time something comes and it's not in the way in which you would like it to happen, how would you like it then?
Um,
Oh, it's Solreta and Taria. Thanks, Daryl.
um,
You can just call me Soul. It's much
yeah,
easier.
we all call her soul. It's funny that you say that, just to build on that, because in that meditation that I had, the one of the things that they said to me was, "Can you make peace? Can you make war? Why would you choose one or the other? What do you accomplish here? Is it your idea? Always. Don't feel it. Remember choosing. Ask yourself why. Um, you are holding back you. Interesting dynamic, isn't it? Being responsible for your own experience. You may not, and then it said, I had been asking questions, says you may not change everything by asking these questions, but you may gain clarity. You may answer questions that lead to a better understanding. This is growth. Um, this is soul awareness and individual expansion. It helps the awareness of all. Find your joy and hold it. Are you working on you? How? Question concepts, motives, and information. This is good. And then it asked, do you follow? Like, are you following people? So let's talk about that a little bit, and staying in your sovereignty, and how, sometimes in an effort to try to keep ourselves on the right path and making sure like we know the information, and we just want to make sure we're not missing anything, and what is this person saying we should be doing right now, and what is that person saying we should be doing right now. Sometimes we can step out of alignment with ourselves because we're leaning in on everyone else to kind of tell us how we're supposed to be thinking right now, or how we're supposed to be feeling right now. What do you guys think about that?
Go ahead,
Oh,
Sol.
Sheridan. Oh, okay. Um, so I think it's really important to check in with yourself as well. And I just realized synchronistically, the cup that I've chosen for today was my Care Bear one. So
Cute.
I think it was Cheer Bear. So, this is all about the power that comes from us and from our being and our chakras. And, I think Cheer Bear, she's a good embodiment of, the energy that we choose to hold. And I think wasn't there one that was Grumpy Bear or something like that?
Yeah.
Still
So
can manage to like summon up some positive vibes,
yeah.
positive energy. So I think it's also it's so easy to step into people pleaser mode. And I think that's what that reminded me of, like with what you read the last part, was just check in. Like, are we doing things for ourselves, or it's because things are expected of us? What would be like your highest choice? And even with what I was saying that Spirit's been coaching me on this week, and what would you like instead? even last night, I felt like there was a breakthrough. So we'll be moving in the next couple of months. We're not 100% sure when that'll be. And my partner and I were talking about just with some of the things that are going to get moved on this property first. And he was saying, what do you want to do about like where you're filming? Because this is going to look a little bit more stripped away in the coming future. And I'm like, oh, I don't want it to look this way or that way. And then I was reminded, what would you like instead? And we started to talk about options and possibilities. And last night, I had the most amazing dream about this really beautiful studio, and my crystals were there. And it was not just a space to film, but it was like a really chill meditation, relaxed, just amazing, almost like a treehouse type feeling. And so I'm like, oh, my subconscious got the message from just consciously focusing on what would I like instead. I know by having it in the dream, it's embedded. And also that goes back to what Sherri was saying about not watching the scary movies and that, because you notice you usually, will dream or have things like that pop up in your consciousness sometimes when you're absorbing and taking these things in. So I think it's really getting conscious about what we're absorbing food-wise, energetically, and just media-wise around us, and choosing what we would like instead.
Yeah.
I love that. I really love that. One thing, an affirmation that I always say to myself is that I'm so grateful that I am in alignment with the life and the experiences and the relationships and the partnerships, et cetera, whatever words I use in the moment, that are for my highest good only. Because sometimes, one of my biggest struggles, and I think this has to do with a lot of people, is I'm a control freak. I'm a Taurus. So I like to control everything. So as much as I complain about me doing everything in the home, I probably wouldn't have it any other way, because my husband will probably do it wrong. Or, you know what I mean? Like in my mind, I'm like, oh, let me just do it, because I have this problem of wanting to control everything. And that is not something that is doable in this reality. So surrendering is a big part of the journey, and saying, you know what, instead of me trying to create exactly and design exactly what it is that I want, I surrender and say, whatever is in alignment with my highest good, that is even better than I'm picturing, I am manifesting that. And because I think sometimes we short-sight ourselves and we limit ourselves to what our mind in that moment thinks is best. But in reality, there could be something so much better in line for you. So I try to operate in that way. And I just say that all the time. And another affirmation, because I'm big on affirmations, every single day, I say to myself 2 other affirmations. I say, I'm so grateful that I am divinely protected, supported, and loved by the universe. Every single day, at least a couple of times a day, just pops in my head. And then the other one that I say is, I'm so grateful that myself and my family, that financial abundance, joy, prosperity, balance, harmony flow into our life with ease and in unexpected ways. And so it is. And so those are the 2 main affirmations that I say to myself every single day to keep myself in a positive mindset. So no matter what anybody is texting me, oh, Sherri, check out this video. Oh my God, what do you think? I'm not watching it. First of all, like, I don't want to know. I'm not turning on the TV. I just scroll past a lot of the negative drama on the screen, because just like you just said, Soul, we can be bombarded with the negative visions and the negative thoughts, especially about what everyone else is thinking. And I just feel like we're not in competition with anybody. I'm just doing me, and I'm on my journey, and I am helping and guide my family, because they are my priority in this lifetime, as other people's family should be theirs if you're in a healthy family environment. Right. There are certain situations where people have separated from their families, but in my case, my children are my everything, and I do everything, and every choice I make is for their highest good, or our highest good collectively. And that's kind of how I live my life. And anything outside of that I can't control, I just surrender to it, and I just release it. And I think that helps me navigate through some of the hardest and most challenging times.
I love that. Yeah, go ahead, Sol.
I was just thinking with that conversation, that what you've just said too, it's really, to me, I think on neuroscience as well. And if we think about our mirror neurons in our brain, And, when we're choosing to step into focus on the positive, or we're choosing to, even like with the affirmations, I could feel the energy of it expanding all around you. And you could feel it shift when you stepped into, when you proclaimed your affirmation, you could feel the energy shift. And I think thinking about others as an extension. So, how they say you're like the 5 most people that you hang around. If we think about it from a neuroscience side of things and mirror neurons, that our little mirror neurons in our brain are kind of firing and connected with other people. So we need to get ourselves into environments and places, or, whether it's looking into things like that we're starting to build positive mirror neurons and connections with. So really trying to absorb or take in the kind of life that we would like to have, and be around the sort of people that we would like to be, or, those that sort of hold, I guess, a similar path to what we would like to be on. It's to know that your brain actually starts to change. So you start building new neural networks that fire and wire and start to synchronize. So it's a time thing as well, investing more time into those things.
Yeah, I love that, and I agree with that as well. And I think that, part of all of it comes back to us just kind of being aware and standing in what we're doing, and knowing that we have the ability to change these things, and not forget that we can shift every moment that we want to shift in where we want to go. What was it, Sherri? We were talking on the phone, and you were telling me, you gave me an affirmation, and we hung up. It was like 3 hours later
That
or
was the
something.
abundance one. Flows into my life with ease and in unexpected ways.
Yeah,
It was
and
that one.
3 hours. I was like going, "Oh my God." It was crazy. It was so funny how that happens. But that's what she's saying. She was like, if you step back and you surrender, right, to just allowing for that into your life, and then it just like something shifts immediately. And to remember that we all have the ability to do that. And so when you're introduced to information in the world that you don't want to align with, that's a choice to just not align with that information. It doesn't mean that you're not going to see it, and it doesn't mean that you're not going to make it disappear, or anything like that. There's You have the ability to almost move like a bubble through the reality where you can see things. They're all manifesting in front of you, but whether or not that it's going to affect you is really the choice on how what you allow into yourself, instead of leaning into all of the information or the division in the community or any of those things. You can just lean back and allow it to pass through your field. You're still going to see it. It's here, right? We're all part of this conscious community, so we're going to see these things happen, but we don't have to participate. And we can focus on the things like Sherri was saying, your children, your family, your pets, or whatever it is that you have in your life that's the most meaningful to you, and focus your attention in on those things, and then you don't have to interact.
Yeah, and I mean, repetition works for and against us, right? So the way the dark side works is through repetition. So indoctrination, programming over and over and over, subliminal messaging through television shows, through the radio, constant just bombardment, well, over and over, because our brain responds to repetition, just like Soul was just talking about. So we can reverse that by replacing the narrative in our own mind with our own affirmation. And that's why every single day I say those without I don't miss it ever. I go, and when I go running, I also, as I'm running and I exhale, I say I release any and all energy that's no longer serving my highest good, known or unknown, any trapped emotions, anything that I'm holding on to, worry, shame, guilt, sadness, fear, resentment, anxiety, and I go through it. I have a whole routine. So as I'm running, I'm releasing, and then I'm saying positive things to fill, because when you don't want to leave a void. So when you're clearing yourself out, you got to replace it with something. And I'm in sunny Florida, so I call upon the beautiful light codes to fill me and rejuvenate me as I release. And so this is a routine. I take it just as serious as brushing my teeth. That's what we call spiritual hygiene, and it's repetition. The more we repeat, the positive things, we break the old patterns, and what I refer to in my book, getting out of the loop. And a lot of us in the 3D have been placed in loops, and now that's how we break free, and we create our new loops. But they're not really loops, they're more spheres, they're more oscillating opportunities that are ever changing and evolving, and it's through repetition.
Yeah. Beautifully said. I love that. And I think that, it's so important just to remember those things. And we've got a lot of people in the chat that are asking for a part 2 and a part 3. So that's really cool. Yeah, we were gonna, do this. We haven't worked out the logistics of it yet, but we're definitely interested in coming back and having more conversations. And I love spending time with you guys and just having these heartfelt conversations, because I know it makes me feel better. I walk away from it feeling a little more energized, feeling a little more positive, recognizing how blessed I am to have both of you in my life and to have the community that we have around us that share with us what they're doing. So I hope that that's how everybody else is receiving it as well.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. And, I love it that we've got our soul family here as well. And I feel exactly the same. It's just such a positive start for my day. Like, this has set a gorgeous tone for the rest of the day. And I love what Sherri was saying about the affirmations. I've got mine printed and, stuck on the wall in the bathroom. And we've got, a frequency chart in the bathroom. It's got like the negative emotions and the hurts that go next to it, the positive ones. So, whoever's on the toilet, they're learning. And I went to one of my best friend's houses the other day and took my oldest stepdaughter, and I'm like, go check out Bonnie's bathroom. And I'm like, you'll see that it's like ours. There's affirmations, there's astrology info. It's so cute because even subconsciously, if my kids are like, oh, that's just like mom and her woo stuff, they're still picking it up. The same as that in our kitchen, we have the list of the different vitamins and minerals, and then it's got the groups of food that are associated with that. So if they're tired or they're feeling like a little fatigued, I'm like, go and check like what it says under iron. Have you eaten any of those foods today? So I think if we can just keep things like that field and be reminded. But yeah, affirmations is huge. And I love what you said about also replacing when we're doing the clearing, calling in the light codes and that, because it's super important. And when you were talking too, I had that vision of that it was like an oscillation. I saw sort of like a loop energy like this, and it's like we're putting a disruptor in breaking apart and cleansing, but then we're also setting this tone that's getting bigger and bigger and stronger and stronger. And the more that we work with it and apply energy to it, it just becomes kinetic, and it's going to tick over and become a lot easier.
Yeah, because we don't want to jump from one loop to another. That doesn't serve us. It's like we don't want to go from one hamster wheel to another. The point is we break out of the loop, and then we create like this ever-changing, oscillating experience that it just isn't a loop. It's whatever we want it to be. It's quantum. And someone actually asked a question in the audience, and I want to make sure we answer it real quick. Whether it's fear-based, and I think a majority of what is designed in this reality to inhibit us are lower frequencies such as fear. So yes, that is how it gets you. That's how they hook you in. And loops can be addiction, it can be self-sabotage, it can be abandonment, it can be enslavement, it can be aggression. So loops are infinite. There are an infinite amount of loops, and there are collective loops and there are individual loops. And a lot of us are in collective loops, but a lot of us are in our own internal dialogue and limiting belief loops, and we can break free of all of those. And the beautiful thing about it is when you break out of those loops, you help to heal generations and your ancestors that came before you, and it's absolutely magnificent. And so I would love to come back and continue these conversations, because I think that there's so much more to say that we can't possibly say in 1 hour. And I'm just so humbled to see the positive feedback that we've received and how much what we've said so far has helped everybody watching, because that's our intention, is to be uplifting. And I want people to walk away from this feeling like they have some tips and that they feel good. How many things out there are making people feel good right now? Not a lot. And so that is our intention.
Yeah. And it looks like Em said she's going to try to join us on one of these too. So that'll be cool. We'll have Em with us.
I love that.
Yeah. So that'll be good. But so do either one of you want to share anything that you've got going on before we head off?
Oh, I popped up a few things. If you go over to my YouTube channel, I think next week, your Thursday evening, my Friday, we're doing making mala beads. So making beads for meditation, and using the mala as not just like focusing. It's focusing on affirmations too. So I like to work with crystals. So if you do want to come and join us, you can bring your crystals. You can bring tiger tail. It is an online video that we're doing. But if you want to make a piece of jewelry with me, we're going to be using it for manifestation. And I also just put a playlist together that is all of the Soul Alchemy manifestation series. I think there was about 25 videos. That's the one. So if you want to binge watch all different tools and techniques and kind of get into the magical witchier side of things, they're a lot of fun. But yeah, also I'll be back for the mystical soul readings on Sunday. I did miss this one because we had a lot of family stuff happening, and I had to just take time out for that, which was really, really important because we had someone pass in my kids' side of the family. So yeah, it'd be nice. It was nice coming back into the online world with you girls today. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Sherri, you have anything that you wanted to?
Well, so the only new thing I'm trying is I'm going to start releasing these mini videos, and so I have a bunch lined up, and I'm trying to just hook people in with just like quick information so they don't get bored with my 1 hour chats, because I am very long-winded in my explanations. So that's one new thing that I'm trying. I'm working on my next series of children's books. I'm taking a break from adult books right now, and I'm just going to focus on star seeds. And then I do have a beautiful retreat coming up in South Carolina, our second retreat with Abby Lynn and my good friend Laura Van Tyne. That is coming up in October. So if anyone's interested in traveling and coming to a beautiful retreat with the three of us, that information's on my website as well.
Oh my gosh, I would love to go to that. My house is so crazy. I don't know if I could do it, but I would love to do it. And then I just have I was tweaking stuff with my website, but it's back up and going. So this is where you can find me at visionsbeyondthedesert.com. And I have my sessions there. We have obviously the YouTube channel, and then my book is available on Amazon and Kindle. So you can check that out as well. And then, yeah, and Johnny's book is on Amazon and Kindle as well. So, but thank you everyone for joining us. I appreciate everyone being here. It was a great conversation. Thank you, Sherri and Soul.
Thank you. Thank you both. This was an honor and a privilege to be with you guys. Such a lovely group of energy. I love divine feminine. I love men too, but there's something about a group of divine feminine women together supporting each other. We need more of that. And I'm just so grateful to be in this group with you guys. So thanks for inviting me in.
Yeah, no, it's been great. It looks like I think it's definitely going to be. We'll post when the next one's gonna post. I'm trying to make sure that we're not missing anybody's stuff. I can't get through all of them, you guys. I'm sorry about that. I got behind when I was showing all this stuff, but we love you. Thank you guys so much, everybody, for being with us, and we will try to catch. I'll be better about the comments later, but anyway, thank you, everyone.
We try our best. Thanks for joining in, everybody. We appreciate your support and your comments and everything.
Definitely. Okay, bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye, girls.